And good afternoon, everyone. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We are recording now live till 5, and then we'll post it up on YouTube, so you can come by later and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, where we're now running about 850 QSO-VLOG air checks. Also this afternoon, we're running 4 Internet SDR receivers monitoring Rochester, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Arlington, Virginia, and Milford, Pennsylvania, trying to get a better copy on our 100-watt friends. Now, the audio from these 4 SDR receivers comes up on a 6-position rotary selector. Also on this selector is our local receiver audio. And today, our local receiver is running 2 large 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas, one aimed north and south, the other east and west. The north and south mag loop can be rotated. They are selected by a 3-position rotary selector. Position 3 of this selector is a co-phase option that many times is 3 to 4 dB hotter than mag loop 1 or 2 by themselves. We do use a lot of rotary selectors in our shack because mainly there's nothing faster than a rotary switch for comparing multiple signals. Well, those are our working conditions. How about yours? This is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network, and now let's check in and see if Charlie K1GZL is on frequency to bring us up to date on the latest 40-meter band propagation. Charlie's QTH is up in northern New Hampshire near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Absolutely. Beautiful copy, Jim. In fact, 25/9 direct, and here you are.
And now let's check in and see if Charlie K1GZL is on frequency to bring us up to date on the latest 40-meter band propagation. Charlie's QTH is up in northern New Hampshire near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Yeah, I sure do, Jim. Go ahead.
Roger, Charlie. Well, now, what kind of weather are you having up there? I noticed that there was supposedly a large cold front moved in.
Let me tell you, it's overcast now. There was just a couple peaks of sun, but not too much today. It is overcast. It's 31 degrees, and we are expecting a little bit of freezing rain, then rain. Just going to rain, Jim. The storm is an inside runner. It's going to track west of us. On the ground, there's probably 4 to 8 inches of snow, depending where you measure it. However, it's going to be rainy off and on tonight and through tomorrow. Temperatures rising well above freezing. This is not a normal situation up here. And tomorrow night it turns into snow showers, and that could be accumulating enough by Sunday morning that it may have to be plowed out. And then something more serious may hit us on Tuesday if a certain storm develops and passes just east of us, putting us on the cold side. So it could be an interesting get-together, and then bitter cold late next week with high temperatures Fahrenheit, maybe 5 above, 10 above, if we are lucky to get that high. So it's up and down like the proverbial yo-yo. That is the word. But anyway, the propagation sounds very good. I'm not too sure how short the skip is. I'd be interested to see what you're hearing on the closer in repeaters. What you're hearing on the closer in land is pretty well out there. Arlington, PA, KC9VKV, K1GZ, and an L.
Roger, Charlie. Well, I just went around the horn there to the 4 SDRs, and by far and away, my local 2 mag loops in the co-phase position is about, looks to be 6 or 7 dB hotter than any one of those SDRs. So right now, man, everything's coming this way, Roger.
Oh, yeah, 30/9. I think that's about as strong as I've ever seen you in here, especially direct on the magnetic loops. So what is happening the skip is right into your backyard, on probably a one-bounce skip, and shooting off the mountain here with the three-element diamond-shaped wire quad. It seems to put out a fairly low angle, but the main thing is to cut and try with the antennas and try to see what we can do. Of course, you always have to use a reference antenna to see if you have gained anything whatsoever. So it's fun. You never know what you're going to come up with. Sometimes the worst antenna things that you could do turn out to be the best, and vice versa. So it's exciting. It's exciting because the bands have such variable conditions, and I personally will be very, very happy, Jim, very, very happy when the sunspot cycle comes back up again and the higher frequencies are more usable than they are at present. KC9VKV, I won't hold it too long. You may have a lot of stations trying to get reports. K1G, Z, and an L.
Roger, Charlie. Well, it's hard to say, but I'm assuming that you did lose your icing from that one time, Roger?
Oh, yeah, that's been off a number of days now. That has been off, and that was absolutely horrible. The snow was hanging very, very heavy on the trees. The ice was on the antennas. I couldn't load them worth a darn, especially 2 weeks ago. It was really bad, and however, there's no ice on the antenna yet. However, this evening, we may get it. We may get some ice on the antenna. However, it's going to warm up later tonight above freezing, so that would only be short-lived, and I think we will survive this episode. And then we go back to snow late late Saturday night into Sunday morning. We get a lot of snow squall activity up here on the upslope. We get the upslope snows, and so far this season, as of the 13th, Friday the 13th, we have had 50 inches of snow come down, and that's a little bit below normal for this date, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. And also just curious, when you do get icing, do you get much stretching of the elements?
Just a little bit, yes. I've noticed that there is a bit of a stretch. It's not severe for some crazy reason. I use generally number 12 insulated solid wire, but I always leave a little bit of slack, to offset the stretching. But yes, stretching can occur, and I don't want to pull out anything up so tight that next thing you know, everything breaks and I'm off the air.
Hey, Roger. All right, Charlie, let me say threes up that way, sir. Always a pleasure, and stay warm and try to do the anti-rain dance so you don't get icing on that antenna, Roger.
We're going to try. I love snow, but I don't like freezing rain and ice and rime. Rime is one of the worst things up here, and that is fog, heavy fog that freezes on everything in sight when it's below freezing, and that does pile up ice. And you get up on Mount Washington, you can imagine they can get up to 1 foot of rime build up from frozen clouds because the particles, the very tiny particles of moisture, don't freeze except when they touch something, and they freeze instantaneously on everything they touch. So they have a heck of a problem on Mount Washington with the rime. Okay, Jim, there goes my voice. 73, and thank you so much for picking me up today. And you did hit 30 over 9 in here, and I'm not. You're a bit above my resonant frequency, quite a bit, in fact. 73. KC9VKV. See you next week, hopefully. K1GZ and an L.
Roger, Charlie. 3Z wait, sir. Have a great weekend. Your signal there was at least 15 over maybe 20. When it gets to 15, I'm looking at a VU meter, and I have it calibrated for 0 level for your voice peaks. And so when you stop speaking, I'm looking at the residual noise level. Once it gets below minus 10, it's hard to see exactly what it is, but it really was quiet. So I would say it was probably like 15 over the local noise level. So great signal. And this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. We're running and recording now till 5. So if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We'll post this recording up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So when you go to YouTube, just do a call letter search for KC9VKV, Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 12-13-19. My group Aircheck 12-13-19. And with that, we're going to check and see if who we got out there that might be interested in a little assistance on their tune-up or get themselves recorded so they can check out their audio. This is KC9VKV.
Whiskey 3, Golf Tango Radio.
Whiskey 3, Golf Tango Radio. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon there. I was listening to you and Charles up there in New Hampshire. I'm down here in Maryland by Annapolis. The name here is Scott. Charles was about 10 or 20 over here in Maryland, and you're doing about the same, so I'm hearing you both very good today. I've talked to you a few times before and been recorded on your show. I've since made a few adjustments to my audio since your last recording of me, so I mainly just wanted to hear a good recording of me, so I figured I would give you a call and say hello there from Maryland. Whiskey 3, Golf Tango Romeo, back to KC9, Victor Kilo Victor.
Roger, Scott. Well, you do have great audio. The EQ is just right on top. I wouldn't change a thing about that. And your signal here is at least 10, 12 dB above my local noise level. And your brain lock. Your signal as far as fatness is right on. You're running about 2.5, 3 dB dynamic range, and that's just perfect.
Oh, copy that. Well, good, then I won't hold you too long. I just wanted a little bit of the recording, so when I checked your YouTube channel, I could hear myself back. I'm talking to you on a Yaesu DX3000 radio with a Heil 781 microphone. I'm running an Ameritron AL80B, and I'm going out to an N-fed antenna. I think the last time I talked to you, I was on an inverted V. I've since switched to an N-fed, made by a company called Maple Leaf Studios. It's turned out to be a pretty good antenna and beat out my other antennas, so right now we're working off of that.
Roger. Now the question is, did you leave the old one up?
Well, yes and no. I was going to raise the old one. I did some A-Bing back and forth between the two antennas quite a bit, and the N-fed beat it out, so I figured, well, let me try to get the inverted V up a little higher. And as soon as I did, my SWRs went way off the charts. And I think it's because the legs were going to be too close to each other. They weren't going to be a 90 degree anymore. So it actually did better lower than it did higher. But I'm going to put up another N-fed probably next week or whenever this rain stops. And this one is going to be 100 and that's do it in an inverted L. And the top flat top part of it will be probably about 60 feet up. So I imagine that's going to beat up this antenna too.
Roger that. Well, sometimes height to ground makes all the difference in the world. I once had a sloper that went up 80 foot to the top of a tree, and and it just angled down to about 18 feet on the other end to a telephone pole, and I never ever could get the SWR down. I did everything I knew to get that SWR down, and I could not do it. And then by operator error, one time when I was determined, I would have these fits of, I'm going to take care of that problem. It's the one remaining antenna that I don't have flat as a razor, and I'm going to take care of it. So in one of those fits, I'm up on the roof, and I made an operator error, and I did lose my high spot in the tree. I won't say exactly how that happened, but it had to do with tie wraps that weren't pulled tight. And so I did lose my my high tree position. So what I did was, in order to keep on keeping on, I had to go to the second limb in that tree, which was only about 20 feet above ground. And all of a sudden, when I did that, my SWR went to 0.01. I mean, it was just amazing. And I said, well, it's not the height that I want, but it sure is the SWR that I'm looking for, Roger.
Do you think it performed well for 20 feet, or being the match was so perfect, or do you think it really performed at 20 feet?
I think, truthfully, that all this HF stuff's moving by skywave. And I don't think that, 20 feet to 100 feet is going to make much difference, actually. I really think that because, it's all getting that RF up in the sky so it can, move around as opposed to, not. Roger?
Yeah, roger that. But there is some science to, when you get at a certain height off the ground, you get a little more directional than omnidirectional, too. So I'm not sure how this inverted L will be. I didn't really plot it out. I guess I could plug in the numbers in the piece of software and see how it looks. But I'm just going to go with it and measure it. And I got an antenna analyzer. I got one of those little rig experts. I usually kind of temporary hang stuff up, try it. And if the rig expert tells me it's good, then I kind of cinch it all up and make it a little more permanent. That's the plan. I won't hold you up. You probably got other people out there who want to hear themselves. I appreciate the QSO, though, and it was nice talking to you again, and I'll look forward to checking out the channel, and I really do appreciate what you do out here. You really make a difference, and wanted to thank you for that. Whiskey 3, Golf Tango Radio, we're going to say 73s to you, and you have a good day there from Whiskey 3, Golf Tango Radio to KC9VKL on We'll Listen to Your Final.
Roger, correction, call VKV. Victor King Victor. But on the antenna, I always leave my old antenna up just because I want to A/B it against my new to be sure that the new is better than the old. And I don't think it's necessarily something you can find out in, 2 or 3 days. My policy is just to leave the old up and put it on a B, C, D, E, F, G rotary selector or whatever you have to do to work them all in. And that way you can, the other thing is there's nothing better than the right antenna at the right place at the right time. So we're talking options. So if you have the antenna that you were using, it was good enough then, and I guarantee you that down the road there will be times when it will be better than your new antenna. Not necessarily all the time, not necessarily even 50%. But when you have an A-B comparison situation sitting right there, you can go back and forth and just prove to yourself that your new one is better than your old one. Anyway, that's my policy. That's why I have 38 antennas around the house. And the wife's beating me on the head saying, get rid of some of these things. And I did get rid of my 12-foot C-band dish. I did that. Gosh, and I did that with a saber saw. that is determination, not the big support pole. That took a little doing. Matter of fact, I couldn't even get through that. Hardly had an angle iron cutter. And finally, I worked it down to the ground and had to do a flower on the pipe. Just saw it down into 4 pieces, take a sledgehammer, bend it out into a flower, and break it off. But anyway, so goes the world as far as antennas are concerned. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout.
November 3, Kilo Delta 9, Uniform Charlie Golf. Kilo Bravo.
It was a November 3 station. Try again.
Yes, thank you. November 3, Yankee Uniform Golf.
Yankee Uniform Golf. Roger, what's the name?
Yeah, the name here is Jason. Juliet Alpha Sierra Oscar November. We're located in the very southern part of Maryland.
Roger, Jason. And what radio are you running today?
Yeah, I'm running the new SPDX 101D. Microphone's a Howe PR40, and running about 700-800 watts out to a double bazooka, right around 50 feet here.
Roger, that was an STDX 101 what?
101 Delta, the new Yaesu.
Roger, Roger. Well, and gosh, Jason, your dynamic range is such that you could be, I think, a lot fatter if you would be interested.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been playing with the parametric EQs, and I've tried to get them tuned in. Conditions right now, I got ALC's about 2/3 on the ALC scale. Processor I have turned back to 30, and that gives us, I guess, your normal starting point there. Over.
Roger, yes. And if you could take a look at your ALC and just speak naturally and your ALC, and you're looking for that that spot between the 2/3 and the halfway point, and that will help you normally, bring up to about a 3 dB dynamic range, which I consider just perfect, because then the average percent of peak modulation runs between 80 and 85%. So come back and look at that ALC meter and see what you can do as far as getting it there between mid-scale and 2/3.
Yeah, okay. We're running right now. Jumping from about half scale, and on hard peaks it's going slightly over the 3/4, but most everything's right around half to 2/3 scale.
Roger that. Okay, let me give you something to work on. You have a watt meter on the output of your power amp, or do you have a power amp?
Yes, I have a watt meter here that has peak and peak hold.
Okay, put that watt meter in PEP so it moves a little faster, and hopefully you can see it from where you normally sit on your chair, Roger?
Yeah, I can see the ALC and I can see the watt meter at the same time here.
All right, so the plan is that with your voice, you want to keep that watt meter in the sweet spot. You know where it is there, and so you have the ability, as you speak, to try to keep that meter in the sweet spot position. Roger?
Yeah, QSL, so we're trying to keep it up about where it's almost peaking for most of the conversation.
Right, in that area between 2/3 and half, right in that area there, that sweet spot is exactly where you want to keep your voice, and you don't want to go in the red, but you do want to try to keep it as much as you can in it, and that has to do somewhat with the rate of speech, obviously, because if you talk slower, the meter falls down between words. So you might need to increase your rate of speech just a little bit in order to keep that up. And the other thing is, it makes you pay attention to if you might wander off mic, kind of like that. It shows you, hey, get on mic, Roger.
Yeah, QSL. Yeah, that's one of the problems I have had here is taking those little gaps in between and breaking and letting that meter fall. So definitely something I need to work on here. It is. Other than that, what other adjustments might you suggest there, Jim?
I think you're right on target on your EQ. I'm listening to you through my local receiver, and it is flat from 100 cycles to past 3K, and I'm looking at your signal on a spectrum analyzer, and by ear, it just looks fine. I wouldn't change a thing. The only thing is trying to keep that average percent of peak modulation up there around 3 dB, so you're 80 to 85%, Roger.
Yeah, QSL is very good, and we'll work on that. How does the processor sound here? I normally run it up around 48 to 50, and I did turn it back to 30 here for checking in with you here this afternoon.
Well, the thing about the processor is that you don't want to ever hear it working. That you never want to hear for somebody to hear your processor working, because if they do, then you're cranking in too much processing. It should be a very subtle thing that makes the difference, in the way that it needs to, but not excessively. When it becomes excessive, it just has a tendency to, number one, perhaps entice RF and the AF, which you don't want to do that, because that introduces distortion. You don't want to be sucking up blowers and transformers and the wife beating the kids in the back room. You want to be very, approach your audio with a great deal of finesse, just like you would in a commercial broadcast station, where they use compressors and limiters, but they do it with a great deal of finesse. Roger?
Yeah, okay. QSL, we've tried to keep it down to where it's not distinguishable that it is on and kicking in. The thing I've noticed on this 101 Delta is, from my ear, turning it up, I'm having a hard time actually hearing it kick in or even see a lot of compression coming in on the compression scale. For example, I'll go up 50% or 50 on the processor level. No compressor really kicking in, slight variance. And going up to 70%, I would think I would start to see some a little bit more, but I usually don't hear it. Maybe you can tell me if you're hearing it on your end there.
Not much. I'll tell you what you can do is later on your dime, look at your watt meter, key down, look at your watt meter, and turn your compressor all the way up and see what kind of noise level you have on your watt meter. Now, what I mean by that is that if you're running excessive compression, the watt meter residual level will climb, and what you don't want to see is the residual level on the meter. The thing would be to turn it up all the way and then start turning it down, because all the way you will see your watt meter hanging up there, probably, depending. But if you do see a bunch of background noise when you're not talking, just take that compressor and turn it down until you can barely see any residual noise on your dead key, Roger.
Yeah, QSL. We'll definitely give that a try. I appreciate the help today and the suggestions. We'll work on keeping our audio peaked up a little bit more and talking just a little bit faster here. And we'll let you go so you can continue on. I know you've probably got a lot of people waiting in there. So KC9VKV and 3YUG. Appreciate the help today at 7-3.
Roger, Jason, 3's that way, sir. Thanks for dropping by, and we'll be posting this in the next couple of days to YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll find one QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 12/13/19. Today's date, My Group Aircheck 12/13/19. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Victor Alpha 3, Japan Tango.
Japan Tango station. Come back slowly and phonetically, please, with your call.
Victor Alpha 3, Juliet Tango.
Victor Alpha 3, Juliet Tango. Roger, sir. Well, you might be pushing your ALC just a little bit. Let's deal with that first if you would like. Can you bring your ALC meter up?
I'm not sure, Jim. I'm actually partially vision impaired, but I did do some work on it from the last time you told me.
Yes, the frequency is in use.
But I can go back in. I need to take the top off of the old Echo 101 Echo, Jim, and get in there with the tool. So I need you. So you're saying increase the ALC?
No, I'll tell you what. Pull back off mic about How far are you off mic now?
Oh, I'm just about swallowing it.
Yes, sir. Pull back about 3 inches and let me hear you.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hello there.
Okay, pull back 4 inches.
There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Excellent. I think, and all without having to take the top off the radio.
Oh, amen. Thank you. By the way, since I did the adjustment from your last instructions, I'm working pile-ups with 100 watts. I'm working and inverter Z. I'm working South Africa and all through Europe and right into Argentina, Jim. Over.
Oh, excellent! That's excellent. That's what we want, and that's as after you pulled off mic, your dynamic range is right where it should be, about 3 dB. Roger.
Oh, Roger.
So we couldn't ask for more. EQ is great too, Roger.
Roger.
So I wouldn't change a thing, sir. I would press on and go conquer the world and come back here and tell me how it went.
For your good advice.
Roger. Now, what is the name there, please, sir?
Same as yourself, Juliet India Mike.
How could I forget that? Roger Jim, 3's that way, sir. Have a great weekend. Happy hunting. This is the KC9VKV QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a transmitter you want to check out, we are here and recording from now till 5. And this is, well, gosh, a really nice day for, it seems like the ability to get down the road. When I was talking to Charlie K1GZR earlier this morning, or this afternoon actually, first thing, and as we brought up the net, I was giving him a 30 over down there, so it looks like propagation is doing great today. This is KC9VKV. Roger. You can come back with your call sign slowly, phonetically again, please.
Somebody's doubling there with you, Jim. I think it's Golf Tango Oscar. Tell him to get what's that? Oh, you're at the farm. What's the call sign? Okay, Jim, November 9, Golf Tango Oscar is at the farm. So, Bravo 3, Mike India,
Roger, that's my Elmer. Hey, Elmer, gosh, where are you?
Where are you?
Yeah, you're not even moving my my meter. You are you left or right of me? Boy, you are not even a quarter of a dB above my noise level. And are you running in excess of 100 watts? I'm just wondering if I should look for you on an SDR or try to work it out on my local mag loop. Okay, I went to mag loop 2, and I have you a half a dB above my noise level. Roger. Roger, Lou. I did pick you up a little bit on the Arlington, Virginia SDR. Somebody has a gosh, I don't know what it is, but it's some kind of interference on the frequency. It's been there since we started, and it's just no problem. It's just for the weaker stations. It competes pretty good. Roger.
Weaker stations. It competes pretty good. Roger. Roger. I'll bring up a kilowatt. I will bring up the kilowatt next week, and I'll hook the kilowatt up next week, and what we'll do is we'll try to get something.
Roger, Roger, Lou. All right, sir. I'll be looking for you. Probably get you on VHF later today or tonight. Perhaps threes for now. And happy working on that antenna and the kilowatt, Roger. And happy working on that antenna and the kilowatt, Roger.
Roger, Roger. And I'll be available with you on the 444-400 on setting up the 7300. Anything you need, I'll walk you right through it from A to Z. Over.
Roger, Roger. Sounds good. We'll catch you later. Threes that way. This is KC9VKV and the QSO-VLOG network. We're from now till 5. We are recording live, so if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout.
We're recording live, so if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout.
KC9VKV, this is KJ6CVR, Kilo.
Okay, station that was use my call sign, come back again, please.
Okay, station that was use my call sign, come back again, please.
Kilo Juliet 6 Papa Victor Romeo, over.
Kilo Julio, hang on, let me find my pen. Kilo Juliet, and slowly, what is the call sign again?
Kilo Juliet, and slowly, what is the call sign again?
Is that Kilo Juliet 6 Alpha Echo?
Is that Kilo Juliet 6 Alpha Echo?
No, this is Kilo Juliet 6 Papa Victor Romeo, over.
Papa Victor Romeo. All right, I've got you there. And what's the name, please, sir?
Victor Romeo. All right, I've got you there. And what's the name, please, sir?
Yeah, good afternoon. This is Thomas. Lake Wiley, South Carolina. Over.
I got South Carolina. Repeat your name, please.
I got South Carolina. Repeat your name, please.
My name is Thomas in Lake Wiley, South Carolina. Over.
Roger, Thomas. Yeah, I've got a bird dog on the frequency. It's a low power bird dog, and it just really plays havoc with lesser signals. So give me about 10 seconds of your antenna system. Tell me about that, and I'll see if I can find something a little bit better on the SDRs, maybe, Roger.
A little bit better on the SDRs, maybe, Roger.
Yeah, Thomas, you got a copy?
Yeah, Thomas, you got a copy?
Yes, copy. Over.
All right, talk to me and tell me about your antenna system for about 10 seconds or so.
Talk to me and tell me about your antenna system for about 10 seconds or so.
The antenna is...
Yeah, Roger. Well, right now, Thomas, you're running neck and neck with the jammer on the Arlington, Virginia SDR. That's about the best I can copy you. You're loudest on the Arlington, Virginia SDR, but the jammer is right there with you, Roger.
Virginia SDR, but the jammer is right there with you, Roger.
Yes, I understand. I just want to check out my system. I just installed a new rig here and checking out the also tuner, so I wanted to see how big out is.
Roger. Thomas, I wish I had a better signal on you, but you are right, like I say, at the noise level of Arlington, Virginia, with that jammer on top of you, so it's really hard to pull you out. And it's a shame, you know, that there are some folks that have, well, I don't know. It is a form of mental illness when they do not have the ability to perhaps communicate either the technical ability on their radio or the emotional ability in their makeup or voice to be able to communicate. So they decide to try to jam or interfere with communications. It's a real pity. But when I come face to face with mental illness, I feel led to prayer. So this is my prayer for the mentally ill. O Lord, I confess that I have judged those who struggle with mental illness. I have judged because I do not understand. Forgive me for making assumptions. Forgive me for my indifference. O Lord, please hear my prayer. Comfort and relieve those who are troubled in mind and spirit. Bring them hope, peace, and the consolation of a loving community. Grant patience and courage to the families and friends of those who are mentally ill. Increase their abilities to cope as they face the challenges of recovery. O Lord, protect and defend those living with mental illness. We seek your presence in their lives. Show them how to have a greater respect for their fellow man, and increase our ability to communicate with the mentally ill. This is KC9VKV, and my prayer for the mentally ill.
This is KC9VKV, and my prayer for the mentally ill.
KC9VKV, amen to that. Yeah, I agree with you. Anyway, I just wanted to say hello and see how I'm getting out there, but I understand. No problem, there are other people they wanted to take. And 73, KJ6PDR.
Roger, Thomas. Now, I was copying you just a little bit better there. I think conditions kind of came around. Give me the call one more time.
I think conditions kind of came around. Give me the call one more time.
Okay. I understand it's a little bit better right now. Just wanted to say that I agree with you on the people with mental illness, so hopefully they'll come to their senses.
Roger, Thomas. Well, you know, I've got a cat. I have a four-legged cat that has a form of mental illness. Mental illness is when a person finds themselves in a situation that they wind up doing something contrary to the average person. You know, they just feel led to do something that, and usually it's a kind of a obstructive kind of thing, a negative kind of thing, that they just find themselves in that situation and react to it. Now, my cat, when I set the table with paper towels, you know, one on either side and then one across the middle there, and my cat just cannot stand those paper towels there, and she will come up and attack those paper towels, and I'll have just a mound of shreds when she finishes. So now she also has a form of mental illness. She can't pass by, paper towels without fighting them and tearing them to shreds. And that's the same thing with folks that QRM. They just can't stand when they find themselves listening to somebody, as opposed to just turning the radio off. If they didn't want to engage verbally in the conversation, they decide to QRM and try to jam the transmission, and that is mental illness, Roger.
You jam the transmission, and that is mental illness, Roger.
Well, anyway. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Network, if you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
VKV from November Alpha 3 Papa.
November Alpha 3 Papa, is that a Roger?
Yeah, that's a Roger. I may want to check another radio, but right now on Elecraft KX3, driving Elecraft KPXA 100 and a Tokyo High Power HL450B to an end-fed wire running about 400 watts. But I have a brand new ICOM 9700. I think I got it set up pretty well, but I might like to check that one besides this radio here. I think this radio here is doing all right, though. Over.
Well, it looks like it could stand a little fattening if you would to bring up your ALC meter and adjust your mic gain to where the ALC meter is running mid-scale to 2/3. That would be exactly where you should be running, Roger.
Okay, well, right now it's pretty well up there. It's all the way up to the top of the ALC meter, I believe, over.
Right. Well, you don't want to be in the red, but you do want to run it mid-scale to 2/3. You should have a marking. You know, I'm assuming you're using a multimeter, and the meter is marked for the different things that it reads. And on the ALC scale, you should be a mid-scale to 2/3. Roger.
Okay, I would actually have to bring my mic gain down to get that up, because right now I'm on full scale on the ALC, over.
All right, are you running your compressor? You should be running that compressor at about a 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100.
Okay, now the compressor is running about, looks like about 40 out of 100 on the scale, over.
Roger. Usually a rule of thumb is 30, because you don't ever want to hear it working. And 30 is just, you know, it's just a token amount that it's supposed to do. It's not supposed to be, you know, 20 dB suck up, you know, where you hear things between words and all that. I have found 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100 to be a good range. You know, you could do 4, it's up to you, but like I say, 3 is what I would recommend normally, Roger.
Okay, what I did, I turned it down to 3. It's 3 out of 10 right now.
Roger that, roger that. Then go back and look at your ALC, and you want to adjust your ALC by mic gain to where you're running mid-scale to 2/3, and you're really looking at that area, the sweet spot between mid-scale and 2/3, Roger.
Yeah, QSL. Well, right now, well, let's see here. There is, you know, I don't know if this Elecraft ALC meter works that well. Because right now, I turned my mic down way down. I think it's too far down. Showing half scale way down here, but I know that's not right, over.
Yeah, I think you could come up a little bit. What's your mic gain?
Well, on the Elecraft, it goes from, let me see here. It goes from a maximum of 80. So, right there, I mean, I'm at 45 out of 80 right now, over.
And what's your ALC meter showing?
It's showing, it's bouncing almost up to the top of the end of the ALC meter right now, over.
Yeah, you might not want to run it that hot. Usually, you know, the thing is that when you adjust, folks sometimes don't understand, but when you adjust that ALC meter, you adjust it by speaking normally into the microphone. You're not in it to say, hey, 1, 1, 1, you know, or like that. You just want that meter to show what you're doing normally, you know, so you would just speak into the microphone like you normally do. Disregard thinking about your setting a level. Just speak into the microphone normally, and just have your hand on the gain control, and just put that meter, the needle on the meter at where it's running between mid-scale and 2/3. Roger.
Okay, roger that. Well, right now I'm about 2/3 of the scale right now, over.
Roger. Rather than pulling out a word like, you know, I would just speak a little faster. Sometimes that is more representative of your actual level, because when you give us almost a steady state tone, that meter is going to read higher than what it would between words, you know, because words are short pulses, whereas a steady state tone makes the meter read higher than what, you know, it normally would.
QSL, I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave this one where it is. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to switch radios. Over.
All right, you might have hit your frequency control. You sound a little bit high.
Yeah, I bumped my VFO knob. I'm going to switch radios. Give me about 10 seconds, over.
All righty, sounds good to me. This is KC9VKV, and gosh, this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. Right now, we're checking out a radio, actually 2 radios. Gentleman just went over to his second radio, and we're going to bring that online. Hopefully I don't know how long that might take. Anyway, we'll turn it back and see if he's got it done.
When he's finished, can you get K10YQ?
Yes, sir, I can, I think. Go ahead.
Is NA3P running on my
Stand by.
COM 7300, over.
All right, you're running your 7300, Roger.
Roger. And I've got the ICOM 7300. It's new. I bought it on Black Friday. I'm running 100 watts barefoot. Mic gains at, only 17%. I got compressor on 3. And the ALC is really only bouncing into about half, like you said, about half to 2/3 scale, over.
Roger. Now, I could tell you were pulling off mic when you were looking for things. So the most important thing is to always stay on axis to your microphone. That's the best way, because what happens when you pull off mic is that you lose the high frequency tonalities of your voice, and it becomes muddy and then peaky too, because it's missing so much of the signal. So always remember to stay on mic as best you can. Stay on axis to the microphone. Now you're running the hand mic. Is that a Roger?
Roger. And also, besides running the hand mic, on the 7300, I have the bass -2 and the treble +2, because I have a bit of a bassy voiceover.
I think that's working pretty good. Now remember, on that hand mic, you must work across it. Do not work directly into it. Pull that hand mic up to your cheek, the side of your cheek, and speak across it. Roger?
Oh, okay. Well, now I'm doing what you said. I'm speaking across it rather than into it, over.
Roger. Much better. Now, can you see your ALC now?
Roger. It's like you said, about half to 2/3 scale right now, over.
Roger. And your compressor's running a 3?
Yeah, Roger. 3 on the compressor, over.
All right. I would take that the EQ tone control, if you will. Do you know where that is?
Yeah, Roger. My EQ is -2 on the bass and +2 on the treble, over.
Roger. I would take that up another 2 on the top end, 2 more on the treble control. So that makes you +4 on the treble and -2 on the bass.
Okay, let me look that up real quick. Let me find that menu just a minute.
Transmit, menu, transmit, sideband, tone control. Transmit, sideband, transmit, tone control. I'll tell you what, why don't you just take note of that, and then when you find it, you can crank that in, Roger?
Okay, I found it. Okay, right now I'm looking at bass -3, treble +2. And what did you say I would sound better, over?
Bring that treble on up 2 more. Increase your treble 2 clicks from where it is.
Roger, +4 now. This is +4, over.
All right, now talk to me and tell me about your antenna system.
Yeah, my antenna is made by myantennas.com. It's a half wave on 80 meters. It's 130 foot long end-fed wire made by myantennas.com. And it's not terribly high above ground. It's maybe 30 feet off the ground on the average. But it's a pretty good antenna. It covers 80 to 10. The only band it doesn't cover is 60 meters, but for a single wire, it does a pretty good job, over.
Roger. I would go down to bass and increase your bottom bass frequency by 1 click. Add 1 click to your bottom bass. Roger?
Okay, I added 1 click to my bottom bass, over.
Roger, I think that's perfect. That 7300 is just a beautiful radio, and they went out of their way to put a great stock hand mic with that radio, so it really shows off the greatness of the 7300. Roger.
Roger. Well, yeah. So far, I'm very, very happy with this radio. I'm not really replacing my old radio with this radio. I have an ICOM 7410 sitting over there, which I worked with you before on 7410 many moons ago, but I've never, I just wanted to get a hold of you with this new radio, see if maybe you can touch it up for me a bit. Over.
Roger. Well, I think it's ready to go. Sounds really good.
Hey, thanks a million. But I'm happy with this radio, really. I bought the 9700, also the UHF VHF on Black Friday, because they had dropped the price on both radios, and I was itching for buying the 7300 for a long time, and then I saw that 9700 price was down, so I pack full of new radios for Christmas. Over.
Roger that. Well, you got a great deal, man. That 7300 is just beautiful. Not really familiar with the other, but the 73 is just worth its weight in gold, I think.
It's really amazing technology what they've got in these things. I'm telling you, for $900, I mean, the technology in this box is just incredible. Over.
Roger. Now, if we could just get rid of all the mentally ill folks that put jammers on frequencies, we'd be doing great.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't understand. The 7200, you probably heard that up there. It's just ridiculous. Over.
Roger. Now, what's your call sign again, please, sir?
November, America 3 Pacific, November Alpha 3 Pop. Over.
Roger. Got that? The name?
My name is Dick, Delta India Charlie Kilo, short for Richard. Over.
Roger. And what's your location, sir?
I am in Culpeper, Virginia, 60 miles southwest as the crow flies to downtown Washington, D.C., or sometimes known as the swamp. Over.
Hey, Roger that. Well, gosh, some things we have to live with, and some things, who can tell? We shall see. It's always, you have to wait and see what the end result is for all the investigations and all the persecutions and prosecutions. Just depends on who goes to jail, I guess.
Roger. Well, when they first created or developed Washington D.C., it was a swamp. Well, it's returned to a swamp. Over.
Hey, Roger. All right, Dick. Threes to you, sir, and I think you're right on top of that 7300. Roger.
Yeah, Roger that. Well, your signal is very strong here today. By the way, 5 and 9. There's my 2-meter radio going off in the background. Well, thanks a million. I'll let you work some other stations that are probably chopping some bits to get their audio toned up a little bit. Over.
Roger. Threes to you, sir. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you later. This is KC9VKV in the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. From now until 5, we record live. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Kilo 1, Oscar, Yankee, Quebec, Evans, Georgia.
What was the call again in Georgia?
Kilo 1, Oscar, Yankee, Quebec, K10YQ.
Roger. What part of Georgia?
We're down here in Evans, Georgia, which is right next to Augusta, Georgia.
I see. And what's the name there?
Name here is Pete, Papa Echo Tango Echo. Over.
Roger, Pete. And what radio are you running, sir?
I'm running a Flex 6400M right now, and feeding that into an SPE 1.3K amplifier and running approximately about 300 watts right now, 300 to 400 watts. Over.
Roger that. Let me just see here. I think my Atlanta SDR is open, just out of curiosity. Come back and tell me about your antenna system, sir.
Okay, yeah. I'm using my antenna's end-fed antenna up about, maybe 25, 30 feet the most. Kind of an inverted L configuration. And running that into a PAL Star tuner I don't really need it on 40 meters, but I dress it up a little bit with the Palstar tuner, over.
Roger that. Well, you're coming in about, looks to be about 15 over on my north-south mag loop antenna. So it's doing you a great job. And what you say you're running how much?
Running about 300, 400 watts.
Oh, I thought you were up around 1400.
No, I'm running low power on it right now.
Roger, that sounds good. Sounds really good. Your dynamic range looks like where it should be, about 3 dB, Roger.
Okay, I guess the audio, what I was interested in to see if the amplifier is changing my audio at all.
Would you want to go 10 count and go to, well, that's hard to tell, you know, because it's very subjective thing. When you lose, you know, the power amp, the signal goes down, and so you really have to try to divorce yourself from the lower, or losing that much power, and try to concentrate on the voice. But I'll do that if you'll give me, say, a 5 count, and then at 5 reduce your, dump your box, go to standby on your box, and continue counting, and I'll try to see what happens with the audio, Roger.
All right, let me do that. Here's a count with everything set up as is as we first started. We're testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, backing about, maybe 5, 6 inches away from the microphone, running a PR781 into the flex with an equalizer. So we're going to turn the amplifier off. Now we're running barefoot 100 watts, same exact setup, didn't change anything other than turning the amplifier off and reducing power down to 100 watts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Over.
Roger, I didn't notice much difference, but the best way to do that is just to count to 10, and at 5, go to standby on the box. And can you do that, or do you need to retune your radio? Standby, Mobile.
I'm not using the Vox at all right now. I'm just using a foot pedal.
No, I don't mean Vox. I mean your box, your linear. You know, the thing is, we want to get an A/B test just as quickly as we can. So the best way is you do a 10 count, and at 5, you just put the box on standby. Hit standby. We dump the box, and you continue counting till 10. Roger.
Okay, I can do that. Let's go. We'll give it a try. This is the amplifier on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No amp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope, that wasn't no amp. Let me try that. Let me try another count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 without the.
Hey, Pete.
Go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm talking about is we want to hear the difference right in the middle of your count. So if you count up to 5, dump the box, and you continue counting. You don't even stop your cadence in your count. You're counting 1 to 10, but at 5, you put the box in standby. Roger?
Okay, I can't do that. I have to unkey to do that. Is that going to interfere with anything?
Gosh, I wouldn't think you would have to unkey to go to standby. I think you could just pause. Just pause for a second. That's all you got to do. You don't need to actually do anything, just so long as you're not exiting or exciting the box when you go to standby.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Close enough. I don't hear any difference. The amp seems to be very linear, which is a good thing. A lot of times, sometimes folks try to get that last amount of power out, and they don't have enough bias, and when they get loaded all out there, 1,400 watts, it sounds like, yeah, because they haven't left room for the audio, and a linear box has to breathe. Just like on heat circulation, the box has to breathe. I put mine on a pedestal, a 4-foot pedestal. There's nothing around it, just the box itself. It's like a shrine almost, and that's what you want. You don't want to bury your box back in some cubbyhole where you can't get circulation. Air is tremendously important to the operation of a linear. You're talking about a kilowatt or so spotlight, and so would you put a kilowatt spotlight inside an overhang and sink it back in somewhere? You want to put it out where it can breathe, and I put just an exhaust fan, an additional exhaust fan right on top of the tubes to try to suck more of that heat out, but otherwise it's just all by itself, Roger.
Right, yeah, I agree with that 100%. This one's pretty much in the open. It's got at least, it's open on all three sides and the back. It's a solid state amplifier also, so it doesn't generate quite as much heat as the tube-type amplifiers. But it's got a what do you call it, a switching power supply in it, and just curious if that makes any kind of a difference on it at all. I've had tube-type amplifiers before. This is the first solid state. I've had it for a while, but I really like it, and just curious if it was distorting audio whatsoever, and so that's a good sign that it's not. Give me the call sign one more time, and give me your, I didn't catch the name either. So let me get a pencil here, and I can write that info down and put you in the lot.
We've still got the jammer on the line. The name here is Jim Juliet India Mike. The call sign is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. And if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one QSO in particular, and the name would be my group Aircheck 12/13/19. Today's date. My group Aircheck 12/13/19. Roger?
Roger that. Okay, we'll do that. And thank you very much for helping me out with that. So other than that, the audio sounds pretty good then.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think you've got it going on there. And like I say, and you're at 300 watts right now?
Yes, I've got it down low power, and it's going up as high as 400 watts, but averaging probably 250, 300.
Excellent. Yeah, it sounds beautiful. No problems at all. And just out of curiosity, do you run a reverse AOC line back from the power amp to your radio?
No, you don't have to do that on these SPEs and with the Flex, because I can control the power with basically the Flex and the SPE are connected together, and there's a setting that you can put in the SPE that the Flex looks at, and it limits the power of the Flex, kind of like ALC, but it actually sets the drive level for the low, mid, and high power settings on the amplifier. And the Flex, if I turn the amp to operate, it just automatically sets those values in, and I can't exceed them. Now, I can't exceed them. I have to go in and physically change on the SPE the drive settings if I want to get more or less drive out.
Roger that. Roger that. That's neat. It's just amazing the technology today, and particularly solid state amps. I'm not really familiar with those. All of my life has been tube type, so it would be a learning curve. When you get familiar with something, sometimes it's hard to start learning new tricks for old dogs. Roger.
Yeah, I understand. Is that a jammer up just up band from us?
Yes, sir. It's been there for the last couple of hours.
Yeah, I noticed that. I've been monitoring this frequency for a while, and was monitoring the net on there before, and I can hear this. It sounds like an airplane in the background on my radio, but then I just looked at my pan adapter. I just opened the pan adapter wider, and I see a really wide signal up there. So it must be, is that the over-the-horizon radars?
No, I think it's a mentally ill amateur radio operator. How wide is that signal?
Golly, it's going I see it from 7,200 all the way right down to just the top of us, 188.
Hear that too, KI4YTV.
Repeat station? A station just coming in, repeat.
KI4YTV, did you hear it too? It sounds like a fast woodpecker, like...
Yeah, well, this is more, not heavy, it's just like a buzzing almost, but we're on the sidebands of it, I think.
Roger. I was thinking it was local here. I was about to go and ask somebody living at the house if they had a charger plugged in. I'm glad I heard that. I'm glad I was standing by. KI4YT, Ed over here in Alabama.
Roger, Alabama. I was picking up pretty good down around Atlanta and then up into Arlington. So he must be running a little power there, and it's just kind of phasing across the area. But appreciate the shot, sir.
Yeah, I'm getting that noise.
I appreciate the shot, sir.
Right about here, and it's probably 5 to 7 kcs either side, and then it starts going away. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that.
It's been pretty relentless for the last couple of hours, but yeah, I prayed about it. I assumed it was some kind of jamming situation. It's obviously some kind of jamming situation because, what would an intelligent communicator put a signal like that on the air for?
Yeah, I run a net on 185, and it came on the other night, and I was, but not quite as strong as it is right now. But anyway, KI4YTV, I'm glad it's not local.
Roger. Now, you're the RV service net?
No, North American Traffic and Awards.
Roger that. All right, well, three, sir, thanks for checking in. And like I say, we are here usually Friday afternoons between 3:30 and 5 on our QSO-VLOG network. Roger?
Yes, sir. You can give out sound reports. This thing sound all right? I don't really have many adjustments.
Oh, I think you got it going on. Looks to be about 3 dB dynamic range, so your audio is fairly well set, and your equalization is very intelligible, sir.
I don't have any of that. All I got's the mic gain and the compressor.
Roger. I was just telling you the technical aspects of your radio. I'm not sure how you've got it adjusted or anything. I was just telling you what the technical aspects of your radio are. Roger.
Yes, sir. You get you only need the equalizer. If it sounds good, it sounds good. That's all there is to it. I have old tube radios, sound great, and they don't have any adjustments on them either. But I don't have equalization and stuff like that. I can't even adjust the compressor except for inside the radio. So it's it's an old ICOM 751.
Roger. Yeah, I could hear a little pumping there when you took a breath. It was, and that's one of the things. Can you imagine the audacity of a radio manufacturer that says, "Hey, this guy's too stupid to be able to adjust the compressor. So we're just going to put it in there. It's either going to be the way we want it or it's going to be out. He is too stupid to make any adjustments as far as the amount of compression. I think that's the high side of arrogance for radio manufacturers.
Maybe putting a limit on it would be okay, but you would want to adjust it a little. I think it seems to give me a little more punch. I could see it in the amplifier.
Yeah, Roger. But, I mean, you're locked into that degree of compression. Now, for my taste, it's a little heavy on compression, and I would, if in lieu of not being able to adjust it, I would probably pull off mic just a little bit to not to drive that compressor quite so hard. But, I mean, in reality, as you bought your radio, so you should have certain leeway to adjust it the way you want it to be, and not have to be the end result of somebody else's test or taste that you're going to run that compressor just like that. You can't adjust it. Anyway.
For a $250 radio, I can't complain too much.
Roger, but what's a 50-cent pot control?
Roger, it's cutting the noise blank, a level, the delay, and the gate. They let me adjust my Vox.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. But that is the way. That reminds me of Glenn Close Enough. Now, I first met Glenn Close Enough when I was having my morning coffee one morning. Glenn was, and this is all hypothetical, but I have a coffee pot that I can't pour a cup of coffee without it spilling half of it on the table. I don't know what it is, but it's about the thing that the coffee's brewed in. You can't pour it without it spilling. And so I say, well, that was obviously designed by Glenn Close Enough. I mean, he said, there's a little spilling, but close enough. We'll fix it in the mix. And it never got fixed. So consequently, anytime I see something that just like that radio of yours without a compressor insertion control, I say that radio was designed by Glenn Close Enough.
I thought it was Paul Who Gives a.
Oh well, what can we say? It is what it is. I'm praying for 7,300 in my life.
Don't forget his brother there, Good Enough.
Well, now that's Glenn Close Enough's brother, Good Enough.
Yeah, roger that. Hey, I just turned my compressor on this thing. How's it sound?
It sounds all right. We suggest a 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100. That's the optimum, I think, for the compression level. So you don't, be pulling in fans and deer and elk and all kinds of other animals that happen to be coming by if you were to exceed the speed limit on that compressor. 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100. Roger?
Yeah, I tuned it back off now, and I'm just running out of the mic. Over.
Roger. I think you're better with the compressor. What it does, at about a 3, it kind of consolidates your peaks as opposed to unprocessed audio. It starts that fattening process. Now, it's not the main thing, but it's part of it. The other part is adjusting your ALC, where you're running a mid-scale to 2/3 by utilizing your mic gain control. That's the second part of it, and the whole idea is that when you run a radio without processing, that radio is running about 30% average peak modulation. So by today's standards, 30% average peak modulation will get you killed because there's just too much noise. So you have to fatten that signal up. And the way you fatten it up is by reducing your dynamic range. To explain dynamic range is the difference between the loudest part of your audio and the softest part of your audio. Unprocessed audio dynamic range is about 10 dB. So when you start to fatten that to about 3 dB, your average peak modulation moves up from 30% to about 80 to 85%. So you want to run, you want to establish your average peak modulation at about 3 dB. And that will, give you a nice signal to cut through a lot of the noise.
Oh, roger that, Jim. By the way, this is Norm, Kilo Golf 2, Papa Yankee.
Roger. Norm, come back with the call sign again.
Sergeant Kilo Golf 2, Papa Yankee.
And what was the name again?
Norm, November, Oscar, Romeo Mike.
Roger, Roger. Norman, whereabouts are you, sir?
We're located about 60 miles south of Buffalo, New York. We're in a little town called Ellington. Over.
Roger, Roger. Doing real well there. Tell me about your antenna system for about 10 seconds or so.
So, Roger, I'm running a
For about 10 seconds.
commercial at about, and the radio is an ICOM 737.
Roger, Roger. Well, sounding really beautiful. I went around to my my SDRs and my local magnetic loops, 10-foot vertical magnetic loops are doing the best. I got you at about looks like about 10 over. Roger.
Roger that. I've got you at about 20 over here in New York. I'm running about 75 watts.
Roger, exceptional. And you're fighting that jammer. That jammer is right there, probably about 10 dB or so below my noise level. So you're in there with it, but you're over it. Roger.
Yeah, Roger that. Thanks a lot, Jim, for the knowledge that you shared with us, and I appreciate the help. And I'll get back to you later. Kilo Golf 2, Papa Yankee.
Roger, Roger, Norm. Well, we are recording now live till 5, but 10 minutes left. So if you want to check out your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And we're running now about 850 some odd recorded air checks, and you'll be looking for one specifically. It's called My Group Aircheck 121319. My Group Aircheck 121319. Roger.
Well, Roger that. I guess I'll get on here and check it out. Thank you very much, Jim. Kilo Golf 2, Papa Yankee. We're clear.
Roger, Roger, Norman. It'll take us probably a couple of days to get it posted. It does take us just a little while, and it depends on how busy we are. But I usually say we'll get it there in the next couple of days, 48 hours or so. So threes, and thanks for checking in, man. Sounded good. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Victor Echo 3, Papa Charlie, Papa Mobile. Bravo.
Okay, Papa Charlie something?
Yeah, good afternoon, Jim. It's Victor Echo 3, Papa Charlie, Papa Mobile. Whiskey 5.
Roger, Roger. Victor Echo 3, Papa, what was the rest?
Yes, Victor Echo 3, Papa Charlie, Papa Mobile. Victor Echo 3, Papa Charlie, Papa Mobile.
Roger, Roger, Papa Charlie, Papa, and Mobile, and whereabouts are you, sir?
Yeah, good afternoon. The name is Roger Oscar Baker, and we are near a town called Kincardine, Ontario, which is on the shore of Lake Huron, a couple of hours northwest of the city of Toronto, QSO.
Oh, Roger, Roger. Okay, audio-wise, man, you've got a cutter there. That the way you have it EQ'd, and that's really cuts through nicely. And your dynamic range looks to be about 2 dB, so it's an extremely loud mobile. Roger.
Very good. Well, glad to hear it. I usually get pretty good reports. We've spoken a few times in the past as well, QSO.
Roger, Roger. Let me see here just for a second. Trying to see if Milford, just out of curiosity, if Milford is still up. I don't think so. Nope. I just want to see what Milford, PA, what you were doing in Milford, PA, Roger.
Yeah, Roger. You generally do hear me back Milford, PA repeater, but anyways, Kenwood 120 and Reading House
Whistler 40-meter mobile antenna on the roof of the car, and a D104 preamplified hand by QSO.
Oh, Roger, and about 20 dB of compression. But as long as you don't shut up, it sounds really good. But if you take a pause for the cause with a mic keyed, your background catches up with you, Roger.
Yeah, QSO, well, that's one of the problems with the mobile, and I got a case of the hiccups right now, so that's why you're getting a bit of pause in my audio from time to time, QSO.
Hey, Roger. Well, you're doing a great job. I wouldn't change a thing. You know, the thing about mobiles is that they are under such pressure to be able to function in the world, you know, because they're smaller antenna, you know, and they're moving around, so they have their jobs cut out for them. So I usually, you know, I don't really sometimes suggest prim and proper operation. I mean, it's whatever works when you're hanging out by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, QSO. Well, the Kenwood TS120 is an older radio, so it only has mic gain on it, so there's no other adjustments on it, QSO.
Well, sir, you are taking advantage of what you have to work with, for sure. And if you want to hear it, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and you'll be looking for a QSO entitled My Group Aircheck 121319. My Group Aircheck 121319. Roger?
Roger. Yep, thanks very much, Jim, for being there, and appreciate what you do. Oh, play 7-3 for now in case you want to get another person in there before you close it up at 5 o'clock. 7-3, good afternoon. V3 PCP mobile's clear.
Roger. Now, what do you do for the hiccups?
I don't know. They've been going on and off pretty steadily for the last couple of days, and I have ulcerative colitis, and I'm on medication for that, so I'm wondering maybe if it's a side effect, but don't really know for sure.
Roger. Well, I don't know. I would, if it were me, I'd take a stiff drink and see where it went from there.
Well, it couldn't hurt, that's for sure. Anyway, thanks a lot. 7-3 Beach, Street PCP mobile. Roger. Three's that way. And what was the name again? Was it Robert? It's Rob. Roger Oscar Baker, yep.
Roger. Rob, you have a good weekend, and we'll say threes for now. This is KC9VKV, the QSO-VLOG network, moving down to its final moments. We have about 3 minutes left. If there's somebody out there that wants a quick radio check, give me a shout.
Kilo Delta 9, Charlie Kilo Bravo.
Kilo Bravo station. Come back with the call sign again.
Kilo Delta 9, Charlie Kilo Bravo.
Roger, sir, and what's the name?
The name is Jay. Phoenix Alpha Yankee Jay, and we're in Central Wisconsin this afternoon.
Roger, and where did you say you were?
We're in Central Wisconsin. We talked to you about a month ago on our radio, and today we're on an ICOM 7410, just trying it out today.
Roger that. I remember Jay. I remember you, sir, the name, and what was the radio?
This is an ICOM 7410, just running 100 watts into a loop antenna that's only about 15-20, about 2 feet of wire or so.
Roger. Well, you Mother Nature is in and out just now, and the last, I was starting to go around to check the SDRs, and when I came back, you took my head off on my local mag loop, so that was at least 15 over, Roger.
Roger, yeah, you're anywhere from 10 over to 20 over here in Central Wisconsin this afternoon, so doing a good job here.
Roger. Now you're about you are 5 dB above my noise level, so that's just Mother Nature. She plus and minus is about 10 dB. Roger.
Roger. Okay. Well, we just wanted to try and get a hold of you on this rig so we can listen to ourselves there on YouTube here in a few days and see how this one's sounding.
Roger. Sounds good. I think you'll like it. Go to YouTube and do the call letter search KC9VKV, Roger.
Roger that, yep. I did it for the last radio that I checked out about a month ago, and that was pretty neat there, so I'll be waiting for that video to come out again, and we'll say 73s. You have a good afternoon. Thanks for doing this.
Roger, you have a beautiful dynamic range. Looks about 2.5 dB between, about 2.5 dB, so that's a nice fat signal, Roger.
Okay, sounds good. That's what I wanted to hear. Thanks, 73.
Roger, Roger. 3 that way, sir. Have a good afternoon. And this is the KC9VKV. We're winding towards down. I think we become a pumpkin at 5, but maybe we got time for one more if somebody wants an Aircheck. KC9VKV listening.
November 2, Oscar, Mexico Charlie, Mexico Charlie.
Something Golf Oscar?
Yeah, Whiskey 5, Golf Oscar.
Roger, sir. And what's the name there?
Yeah, the name is Sid. I talked with you last Friday, though. W5 George Ocean, and I appreciate the YouTube. I monitor on the 12/6/19 last week's recording. Doing a fantastic job there, Jim.
Roger, Roger. Now, you're out in Wiley, Texas. Is that a Roger?
Correct, Jim.
Roger, Roger. I thought I recognized the call sign. Yeah, we finally got ourselves oriented and got all the stuff cranked in. Sounds good, Roger.
Roger that. I appreciate that, Jim. I sure do. And I know you're winding down here at the witching hour. But anyway, you're sounding great as always. Enjoyed our chat. Enjoyed your YouTube video. I did find it on there, and we will monitor or check it out here in the next couple of days when you get the next one online there.
Roger, Roger. Well, let me say 3's to you, and we'll jump out of here. You have a real good weekend, Roger.
Okay, you too, Jim. Take care. God bless. My pleasure. KC9VKV W5.
Roger, Roger. 3's that way, sir. And that will be the end of our QSO-VLOG network for today. We've enjoyed it. Since 3:30, we have been recording live. If you were a participant or just interested, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, that will bring up our QSO-VLOG page. Right now, we're running around 850 recorded air checks, but you'll be looking for one specifically, and it's called My Group Aircheck 121319. My Group Aircheck 121319. So with that, we'll say 3's all. You have a great weekend. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, clear.
We got time for one more. This is Kilo Echo Zero Sierra Romeo Mike.
Sierra Romeo Mike, go ahead, sir.
Roger, I see you took an audio, is that correct?
Roger.
How does it sound, over?
Whereabouts are you, sir? I've got a pretty good copy on you, but I might be able to find an SDR closer to you. Hello? This is KC9VKV station calling Quebec.
Yeah, this is KE0SRM. How do you copy now?
It's in and out. Mother Nature's in and out. About 10 dB difference, and I thought I might look around and see if I could find a SDR in your neighborhood or somewhere that might have a better signal than I do, Roger. But you give me about 10 seconds of telling me about your antenna, and I'll see what I can do, Roger.
Roger.
I need for you to be transmitting so I can find a better signal, possibly.
Roger that. Yes, this is KE0. Roger. Kansas City, Missouri. Is that string long enough?
Yes, sir. You say you're out in Missouri?
Roger. I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
Roger, Roger. I'm copying you best on my local 10-foot magnetic loop antennas. In the co-phase mode, we have two 10-foot vertical magnetic loops, and we have them have the option to run them independently or co-phased. And right now, the co-phase is coming up about 3 dB, 4 dB hotter than either one of the mag loops by themselves. So give me just a little bit of audio now, additional, so I can evaluate your signal, Roger.
Roger that. Yes, my name is Dave. I'm located in North Kansas City, Missouri. I do have a little hoarseness in my voice today, but other than that, everything seems fine. Over.
Okay, are you running, what kind of mic are you running, sir?
I'm running an ICOM SM30 mic.
I got you. I would suggest that's a desk mic or hand mic?
It's a desk mic.
Yes, sir. I would suggest that you go down to your favorite music store and get yourself a foam windscreen to fit over the top of that. You need just a little bit more filtering of your voice as far as plosives and whatnot, just a tad, and that foam windscreen would just take care of the problem just beautifully. Roger?
Oh, roger that. That sounds good. Yeah, that sounds like an easy fix.
Try again. I'm getting some trash from the co-adjacent frequency, Roger. Come back and repeat your last.
You bugged me there. I didn't hear you.
Roger, I was just asking you what you said last. Sometimes I get into that conversation with my wife. She says, "What did you say?" I'll say, "What did you say?" Well, we're doing it back and forth. But anyway, you're sounding good from out west, Roger.
Okay, thank you very much. And I will try that Wednesday.
Yes, sir. And just perchance, just a little bit more articulation on the top end of your EQ. I would go up maybe 2 clicks hotter on the treble side, 2 clicks hotter on the high side of your audio frequency response. Roger?
Roger that. Will be over.
Yeah, I think that would give you just a little bit more definition and really help in moments like this where you're fighting this jammer that's been on all afternoon that is really pretty strong from time to time. And so you have that. Plus you're coming in from the west, which I usually don't go west. My stuff is usually set up for East Coast from Montreal to Miami with a hotspot in North Carolina. So I'm primarily going east, and you're coming to me from the west. So you have your job cut out, Roger.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I'm getting a little bit of adjacent channel stuff too. But anyway, you were in the clear there a few moments, and so if you were interested in checking out your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, and on that page you'll be looking for specific recording called My Group Aircheck 121319. My Group Aircheck 121319. Roger?
Roger that.
So we'll say threes to you, sir, and you have a great weekend. And with that, this is KC9VKV. We'll be headed for the the pumpkin field. Threes, KC9VKV, clear.
Victor, Quebec, KC9VKV. You're about S9 into central Missouri, over.
Roger, S9 in central Missouri. Thank you, sir.
Can you give me a signal report, over?
I have so much trash coming in. You are above the trash. It looks to be about 8 to 10 over. And this is, I'm talking about my local noise level, which equates pretty much to S signal levels. Roger?
Yeah, very good. And you said you're on the East Coast?
We're out towards Louisville, Kentucky. We're just across the river from Louisville. Roger?
Yeah, very good. Roger, roger. We appreciate that, and doing a nice job. Your audio is really pretty nice audio. The name is Jim, and I'll let you pick up some more stations. This is November 0, Victor, Quebec.
Roger, Jim. Well, we're just headed for the pumpkin farm right now. We're about 10 minutes into being a pumpkin. So we'll say threes to you, sir. We're wrapping up. And if you get a chance, check in next Friday. We go from 3:30 till 5, recording all the time. So things might move along a little slower in the earlier time frame. So if you get a chance, give us a shout, around 3:30 or so. Probably be maybe not too congested. So threes for now. Catch you later. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, and we'll be clear.
Yeah, thank you so much. You might very quickly give me your name, over.
Oh, sorry, Jim, Julie at India Mike. Call us Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. We're next to Louisville, Kentucky, on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville.
Okay, you say your name is Jim?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's my name too. Okay, thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. 7-3.
Roger, Roger. So if I forget my name, I'll come look you up.
There you go.
Catch you later. This is KC9VKV, Claire.